Hello everyone, this is Nirmal here for Technique, and in this video we'll do a detailed comparison of two budget smartphones, the Moto E 2015 with the Lumia 532. So first, before we go into the detailed aspect, let's have a quick look at the specs. So the new Moto E, the Moto E 2015 comes with a 4.5-inch QHD display. It's powered by the Snapdragon 200 quad-core processor with 1 GB of RAM and 8 GB of internal storage. There is a 5 megapixel rear camera, and this camera does feature autofocus. There is also front facing VGA camera, and the battery has also been improved. So it runs Android 5.0 Lollipop. That's the latest version of Android. So that was the spec aspect of the Moto E. Now moving on to the Lumia 532. So this is one of the cheapest Lumia devices available right now. This comes with a 4-inch FWEG display. So it runs on the Snapdragon 200 quad-core processor with 1 GB of RAM and 8 GB of internal storage. On the camera aspect, this device has a 5 megapixel rear camera, but this is a fixed focus camera, and there is also front facing VGA camera, and this runs Windows Phone 8.1 latest update, and it is upgradable to Windows 10 when it releases later this year. So that is the spec aspect of these two devices. So now let's go into the detailed aspect. So first up, let's see the design and build quality. So in the design aspect, both these devices have unique design, while the Moto E 2015 version does follow the design aspects of the first generation Moto E, although there is some change. So you can see here it has a matte finish rear panel, and instead of a removable back cover, it has a band mechanism. So you just need to remove the band to change the SIM card and the micro SD card. So overall the build quality and fit and finish is really good. You can see the band has a textured finish, and these bands are changeable. That means you can buy additional bands for this device, which is available in different colors, and you can customize the device. But the rear panel, which can be either black or white, that cannot be changed, and you can see the Motorola logo as well. So overall the build quality and fit and finish is pretty good. This is a really sturdy device for this price, and comes with really great build quality. So now coming on to the Lumia 532, this device looks a lot like the previous generation Asha devices, which is now not available in the market. So you can see here this again has a really great finish, the matte finish rear panel, and Microsoft has given a glossy finish all around the device, which makes the device look really good. The build quality again is top notch, and the good thing about the Lumia 532 is that you can use interchangeable rear panels, unlike the Moto E where we can use only bands. So the Lumia 532 is definitely more funkier than the Moto E, but the build quality on both these devices are really good. They are really exceptional for a budget smartphone, and if you like colors for your smartphone, probably the Lumia 532 with the green, orange, black and white variant looks better. But if you're okay with black color with interchangeable bands, then Moto E is also pretty good with respect to the build quality. Now talking about the display, both these devices vary a lot in terms of the display aspect. While the Moto E comes with a 4.5-inch QHD display, that's 960 by 540 pixels, the Lumia 532 employs a much lesser resolution display. It's a 4-inch display with an FWEG resolution, so that's a lower resolution than the Moto E. So with respect to the display resolution, the Moto E is a clear winner, and you can clearly see it in the display. The display is much more sharper than the Lumia 532. But having said that, the good thing about the Lumia 532 is that even though the display resolution is low, the screen size is also lower, so the density of pixels is not really far behind the Moto E. So all in all, the display aspect, we would say that the Moto E is better here because it has a QHD display. But the display, the touch response on both these devices are really good, and it's pretty smooth, no lags or issues. So all in all, we would say in the display aspect, the Moto E is the winner with the QHD display. Now talking about the software and performance, here we cannot do a direct comparison because Moto E runs on Android 5.0 Lollipop, and the Lumia 532 runs on Windows Phone 8.1. So it's a personal choice whether you want an Android device or Windows Phone. Now talking about the Moto E comes with the Snapdragon 200 quad-core processor with 1 GB RAM, and the performance is really smooth. There's no lag, and Android Lollipop update is a pretty stock experience. So if you love stock experience and the latest update, Moto E is a pretty good device to use because it does come with the latest update, and it probably based on what Motorola has been doing with their devices. You might get the next update as well, but there is no clarity on that. but then it does run the latest update and it's pretty smooth. There is no lag, and the gaming experience is pretty good because it has a QHD display, and the quad-core processor works pretty decent. It's not really the best gaming performance in this price point, but it does produce a pretty decent gaming experience as well. So the overall performance in terms of the multitasking as well, the experience is pretty good. It's lag-free experience, and the overall performance with Android 5.0 Lollipop on the Moto E is pretty good. Now moving on to the Lumia 532, the device is powered by the same Snapdragon 200 quad-core processor with 1GB RAM and 8GB internal storage. And here you can see that Windows phones have worked on even on dual-core processor, so the quad-core processor works really well. There is no lag or issues. The performance is pretty smooth. Even the gaming experience is pretty decent. But then the biggest issue with the Lumia 532 is the display. It's a low resolution display, so gaming experience may not be that good as the Moto E, since it has a better display. But the overall performance looks pretty good. The multitasking is also pretty decent, and you can easily work on this device without any lag. The display also is the touch response on the display is also pretty good. Now, one good thing about the Lumia 532 here is that even though both these devices come with 8 gigs of internal storage, you can directly install apps on the SD card on the Lumia 532 with Windows Phone 8.1, but that cannot be said about the Moto E, because Moto E the storage is limited to around 4.5 GB, and you cannot directly install apps on the SD card, although you can move files like the photos, videos, etc. To the SD card. So that's one important aspect. If you install lots of apps, especially the games, the Moto E might run out of storage pretty quickly, but the Lumia 532 will not have such problem, because you can easily install apps on the SD card. But having said that, there are certain games and apps which does not allow installing them on the SD card on Windows Phone, but in general you can install most of the games and apps on the SD card on the Lumia 532. So that's one important aspect. So if you install lots of apps and games, probably the Lumia 532 is better here, because the storage, the internal storage will not be affected, because you can install apps on the SD card and expand up to 128 GB on the SD card. So the SD card is supported on the Motorola Moto E as well, but you cannot install apps. So that was the software and performance side. So in the software and performance, it's a matter of personal choice, and whether you want Android or you want Windows Phone. So both these devices have a pretty good software experience and performance, and provides lag-free experience in this price point. Now moving on to the camera. So the device, both these devices sports 5 megapixel camera, but unlike the first generation Moto E, which had a fixed focus camera, the Moto E second generation now sports a autofocus camera. So that's one big improvement. But the Lumia 532 still sports a fixed focus camera, so that's kind of disappointing. So in the camera aspect, we would say the Moto E is a winner here, because it has autofocus and the images are pretty good as well. But having said that, if you are not really into close-up shots, the Lumia 532 also produces pretty decent shots with a pretty decent color quality as well. Now both these devices have front-facing camera. They can be just used for video calls. They are just VGA camera, so not really great for selfies. So just for the purpose of video calling, those cameras are available. So in the overall camera aspect, the Lumia 532 is a little behind the Moto E because of the lack of autofocus. But having said that, if you look at the interface, the Lumia 532 has the Lumia camera, which is really good camera interface. We have already said about the Lumia camera, which is really good in terms of interface, which allows you to have control on your camera. I mean, like the white balance, ISO, exposure and stuff like that. But the Moto E camera is very basic. Very basic features are only included. So in terms of camera interface, although the Lumia 532 is good, the overall camera experience in terms of the photo and video quality, the Moto E is slightly better than the Lumia 532. Now talking about the battery experience, the Motorola Moto E 2015 comes with a improved battery. That's a 2390 mAh battery, while the Lumia 532 comes with a 1560 mAh battery. So the battery capacity is much higher than the Lumia 532, and obviously the battery performance is also better on the Moto E when compared to the Lumia 532. Even though the Moto E has a bigger display and a QHD display, the overall battery performance, when we consider the capacity and the overall performance we would say the Moto E 2015 has a better battery life when compared to the Lumia 532. So that was a detailed comparison of the Moto E 2015 version with the Lumia 532. Now there is a bigger point here, the pricing. The Moto E is priced rupees 6,999, the same pricing as the first generation Moto E, while the Lumia 532 is priced right now around the 6K mark, even though there has been a decrease in pricing. So there is a clear 1K difference between these two devices. So for the additional 1K, what do you get on the Moto E? It does have a better display, or even a bigger display, 4.5-inch QHD when compared to 4-inch FWEG. It also has a higher battery capacity, but even though the battery capacity is higher, the battery performance is almost similar. Then it also has the Android 5.0 Lollipop update. So if you're particular about Android latest update, then probably the Moto E makes sense. Now good thing about the Lumia 532 is that it has a really colorful build quality. You can install apps on the SD card, which is not available on the Moto E, and it also runs Windows Phone 8.1, which is pretty good in terms of the performance. So that was a detailed comparison of the Lumia 532 with the Moto E 2015. So hope you like this video. If you have any queries, drop in a comment and we'll be glad to help you out with your queries. If you like this video, do hit the like button and also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos. Thanks for watching this video. Have a great day.